this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you the new Smart Trainer from Nitroplanes. I chose this plane not only because it's different in the way it looks, but it looks super stable. I also need an airplane large enough to fit my FPV needs that it will be converted to at a later date. It's got nice leading edge droops. It has landing gear, which I wanted to be able to take off and land as an FPV aircraft, and yet it's large enough with a large enough body to carry the camera that is needed for FPV work. This is in front of your box right here. If I go here, you'll see its basic dimensions. I purchased the kit minus the transmitter and battery. So I got the version that has the motor, speed control, and all the servos. Very simple setup. Nice looking airplane, decent size, which I'll go over and show you in just a second. Here we have all the pieces laid out. The fuselage, wings, carbon spars, and the bags. This is everything out of the box, intact. This is sitting on essentially a building board, which is similar to a door that you would have in your house. Fuselage component, tail will slide on back here. Main cockpit area. Here, see the motor's pre-mounted, ready to go. Decent cooling holes, bring cool air in. Nose wheel attachment point. Main gear attachment here. Going to have the carbon fiber spar sliding through here, and it has some wing lockdown points. This is its main canopy area. Picking on the fuselage area, I want to show you, this is a GoPro Hero 2, and you can actually see how much room this plane would have to carry your FPV equipment. Putting the canopy back on, if you weren't going to do a full pan and tilt unit here, which there's still plenty of room almost to put it under a canopy if you want it, you can see the camera sits completely inside this little hole, which means there's plenty of room for servos. I could put the FPV transmitter here if I want it. I generally bury them on the bottom for better reception, but I can completely mount this camera and look around. So this will be a great setup. It won't have the longevity of a powered glider, but that's not quite what I'm after. Back on the fuselage. To give you an idea of how much battery room this has underneath this canopy, here we have an AGA 5200 6-cell LiPo. So obviously I'm not going to use a 6-cell, I'm going to use a 4-cell, but I'll probably keep it in the 5,000 range. Turning this sideways, I can still fit it inside the battery compartment. That's a 6-cell battery sitting inside there. So even if that was 2 3-cells, you can imagine the flight time you could get out of this aircraft. Very easy. The battery weight isn't going to go up tremendously. This is the tail section. Unfortunately, mine came broke. However, this is not a major fixing issue. Little double-sided tape. I could even hinge this if I want it. This is a simple repair. I'm not really worried about it. At least it broke at the hinge line. Nothing else was damaged. I just noticed it must have flexed in there. You can see the hole for the elevator. These are your rudder and elevator servos. These are 17-gram servos, a little bit bigger than your regular 9-gram stock. Everything's marked. Now, when we put that together with the fuselage, you can see that's a pretty hefty size airplane. In the Nitro world, this would probably be around a 60 size aircraft. The motor that's coming with it is a 400 kVA motor drawing about 40 amps, and it's swinging a 13.8 propeller, which I'll show you in a little bit. Here we have your main wing. You can see yellow on top, little markings, but obviously the decals will set this off. It's about the space for the fuselage. They're pushed all the way in. You could even modify this and put small flaps in here if you wanted to at a later date with little 9-gram servos. You can see these aren't 9-gram, about 17-gram servos. Carbon fiber rod through the middle. Pre-hinged. Should be all right. I have no problems with dynamic products. I don't mind their electronics. Here are the little wingtip fences that will go on each end. This will help its stall characteristics greatly. It'll probably give it a very smooth descending fall, kind of like a 3D aerobatic plane. Something that'll help out should be when you're in FPV. Here we've got the leading edge Droops. You can see down across the thing. It's basically a bottom airfoil. So we still retain the trainer-like qualities that we're looking for. Our 2 elevator halves. They're using a live foam hinge. Might even put some tape in here as I build up, just for safety's sake, so I don't have to go back and do it later. However, most of the time, you're not going to put enough stress on an airframe like this that you're probably ever going to wear out these hinges. But since I've got an FPV mode, I'm going to go ahead and probably put a little bit of tape at least on the bottom here, just for safety's sake to know my elevator. Here's our main landing gear. Pre-bent aluminum. Wheel pants are installed, and they're actually nicely installed. They're very rigid. They're hard plastic, not an ABS, foam wheels. So these should actually handle grass very well. They shouldn't rip off too easily like most of the kits you'd get in ABS plastic or fiberglass. So these are a lot stronger. You can see inside here, they've got a place for the aluminum to really lock it down. So that's nice. First parts bag, as you can see, spinner, nose wheel, there's the tube for the elevator, another control horn, maybe a backup or spare. These here are our wing fixture points that they'll mount in the fuselage, and that'll lock our wings to our body. Push rods, elevator, rudder, and a couple tools. We got a screwdriver, some screws. Here we have the main canopy. This will be taped on for the first flight. I'm going to go ahead and pull this back off later when we mount the GoPro FPV camera to it. It does come with a decent pilot, painted, so he's not too bad looking. I can even put him in there for the first initial flights to see how it goes. There's a little glue here. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's foam safe. But I tend to use my own glue. I'm not too worried about that. But it would have been nice if that's CA, that it was not stored with your clear canopy. If something goes wrong in this bag, we all know this would ruin the canopy right off the bat. Hard to see with my black shirt on. These are the 2 propellers they gave us. So they actually gave you a spare right off the bat. Nice and hard ones. They're not real flimsy or flexible. So you get a decent propeller. This is a 13.6 propeller. So if you are learning to train with this, you'll probably go through a couple more of these propellers than you need. But it's nice that they gave us 2. So and here's the rough assembly of the aircraft. You can see it's fairly large. It's going to have plenty of room for any FPV equipment, any extra batteries. I could probably go with a full FPV system, return to home, but I typically fly with a basic FPV. I prefer just flying around the field and flying like I'm flying an actual aircraft. This will allow me to take off and land on those wheels. I probably could even put this on floats at a given point, just convert it like you would any other float plane or trainer. Nice wings, good size, and I think this is going to work really well. So that's your basic overview of this aircraft. It should be flying within a couple of days, and we'll do some test flights before we convert it to FPV just to see what it looks like.